All right. So with the course introductions for the agenda today, we're going to go over geometry and super elevation. And I do understand we have 4 hours, but there is a lot to cover in these things. We want to make sure that, again, we're giving you guys those tools that you would like to have in your tool bag and give you different options to use those. So that's what we're doing today for day 3. So we'll just jump right in on geometry. So we're going to go over horizontal geometry first, and then we'll dive into vertical geometry, and then we'll go into super elevation. So horizontal geometry, we're going to go over different methods of creating alignments. And some of those methods being complex PI, setting silver rule, complex chaining, importing and exporting our geometry. Why we would do that. There are reasons behind it, and then editing horizontal geometry, different methods that we can use for that, annotation for the geometry, and then geometry reports themselves. So we go ahead and open up ORD. All right. So the methods for alignment creation. So there's a whole lot of different elements that we can do with geometry. There's lines. Sorry, that's in the profile. There's lines, line between, link, a lot of information in here. I'm going through these kind of quickly. Arc between elements, arc between arcs, points for like point tables, those different things, tapers, reverse curves, spirals, a lot of that information. What we're really concentrating on more is our complex geometry and modify geometries. So we're going to go over those, plus a few other things under design elements of creating civil rule feature and items like that, which Lindsay will touch on how that operates. So first thing I need to have as we discussed the yesterday was having an existing terrain. So I need to have an existing terrain, and then I also need to have some other files that I would like to have in there. My existing terrain, I already have these attached just to kind of speed up the process, so we're not going to attach everything. The other thing that I have attached to is that working container file. So that working container file we talked about, I think both days 1 and 2, of the importance of having that working container file. And you can see I have it nested to a depth of 1. The reason for that is, again, that's my working container. I want to have all those references in there that are not data connected. So I have a few different references in there. If I turn that on, turn it off for this purpose, in what I'm looking at, I have, if I go into my level display and show that a little bit better. So I've got my existing planimetrics in there. I have my right-of-way in there. I have my hydraulics model in there. So those I have in. I'm not data connecting those. I'm just using that to set my geometry. So a few different things before you set your geometry, before we jump into complex PI and a lot of those other elements. And I'm going to arbitrarily just start to set a geometry along here. And it's not going to make a whole lot of sense right now because, there we go. Sorry, I couldn't get my keys to work. So it won't make a lot of sense when I'm doing this. And you can see right now, it's just going on horizontal alignment. And the reason why it's doing that is because I have this guy checked on and I have my element class selected. So one of the things that I want to do with geometry, sorry, my function or my buttons and numbers, I don't know why. There we go. Is I want to use these as construction lines. I need to go fix my keys real quick. I'm operating kind of handicapped here. So again, this is just another good one to go back Position mapping, it's on. I don't know why it's not working then. Interesting. All right. So under this guy, we have our construction lines turn on and off. So that's one thing that I want to do is I want to select these lines that I'm doing here. And as we went through the other day, we have different classes. So I can go ahead and pick, I should be able to pick these lines, and I want to change my class to construction. It should allow me to do that to each one. I'm not sure why it's not. I could also just do it in my properties as well. So I want to make sure that these are on my construction lines. The reason why I want to do that is now I have something to go by if I end up putting in curves or some other element in here when I do my geometry. So right now it's on constructions. So if I turn those on and off, that's the reason to have those on constructions, because then I can come back to that. The other thing that I would also do is make sure that this is on I want to get this to none. This should be on like a draft no plot level is one of the things that we want to make sure that that's on. So I am going to go into that draft information no plot. So for my geometry then, well, before we get to that, let's go ahead and stop recording Sahar, because I do want to check and see if there's any questions on why we would do the construction lines.